Welcome back to the Color Authority. This is Judith Van Vliet, and today I'm going to be discussing a very hot topic, a topic that we knew nothing about a year ago, together with Bruno Pitzalis. Bruno is a crypto art expert, curator, and sales advisor. In June 2021, he conceived and coordinated Dystopian Visions, the very first crypto art NFT auction in Italy for the Cambi auction house in partnership with SuperRare. Thanks to this 20 years experience of working indeed also in the field of communication and documentary direction, he has developed a peculiar vision and strategy for the creation of applied value. He's currently holding the role of communications and brand awareness at the MoCDA, the Museum of Contemporary Digital Art, and he is head of the MoCDA, the Foundry, a cultural populariser of the crypto art scene. He's collector and collaborator of Artribune and has indeed a column on crypto art. Good morning, Bruno, and welcome to the Color Authority. How are you today?
Hi, Judith. I'm good. Thank you for having me today for your podcast. I'm very happy to be one of your hosts.
I know you are super busy, but I'm very happy that you're here. And I know that you've done art direction in your life, so color is a big thing in your life. I ask everybody the same question. What is color to you?
Well, Judith, yeah, you're right. Color, had different roles in my life. So color to me can be different things. Yeah, let's start with the moment I was working as an art director back in the times in advertising. Back then, color had the role to attract attention mostly. So I used to choose color in order to make, the creativity stand out. As a director, I use color in post-production mostly to deliver feelings. And now working as a curator, or better, as a Web 3.0 innovator, color assumes an entirely different new meaning. Strictly regarding to the crypto art scene, I could refer to color as a soundtrack of this new art movement. Normally a movement that is decentralized and therefore it doesn't have, let's say, that many typical shared cultural aspects, but the color palette, at least for the OG artists from the first wave, has been a significant shared aspect among the artistic actors.
So you're an expert indeed in crypto art. Super interesting. When I came across your profile, I was like, I need to interview this guy. Can you, however, explain people what do you do? Because I think it's still so new and people will not entirely understand what it is, what your profession is.
Yeah, right now, when we talk about crypto art, we're referring actually about a wider context. So we're talking about the Web 3.0 ecosystem. And the roles linked to these ecosystems are different, and there are, let's say, new ones coming up every day. So my role evolves with the ecosystem. I began entering the scene as a crypto enthusiast, but basically participating in the first Metaverse vernissage, talking with some artists and collectors, spending lots of hours on Twitter. Then I was collaborating with an auction house in 2021. So I've decided to propose to host the first exhibition and crypto art auction in Italy. And most of the people getting into NFTs now are beginning to be aware of what happened back then, just now. And as for today, that remains the only crypto art auction happening in Italy. Mm-hmm. After the moment, my involvement into the scene grows week by week. I act as an educator, a writer, a spokesperson, a curator, and a tech creative. The Web 3.0 ecosystem, it's in very early stage. So, the opportunity are basically countless.
Yeah. So first things first, because for you talking about Metaverse NFTs, crypto, blockchain, it comes very natural. I can tell you that I think a large part of the audience, they're probably like, NFT what? So maybe we can first explain a little bit of the words that you're actually talking about. So metaverses, what are they? And are they for everybody?
Well, metaverses are basically virtual environments where digital experience take place. It can be a new place simply for gathering, to discuss, or to create. For the crypto art scene, the metaverse played a very important role. back to the early days of the movement, we were all in lockdown still. So the only way to gather and have a discussion about art, it was basically to find, something digital. So that is why, by chance, actually, we combined metaverse and art. We used to meet on Artribune. Artribune is a tailored metaverse where artists used to expose their collection and, to make virtual curatorial tour and exhibition. So we used to get there. We used to talk about art, having curatorial tours, auction, and the discussion was somehow more alive than our real life that we could have back then.
Especially in the lockdown, of course, when everybody was at home, digital life was the only one technically existing. Can everybody enter the metaverse, or is it limited membership? How does it work? How do you go to a metaverse?
Well, right now there are different metaverses, of course. So most of them are open. For example, the central end is open. You can actually link to your wallet to enter the metaverse, and that will allow you to, let's say, buy wearables or buy art, or otherwise you can enter as a guest. So even if you don't have a wallet, a crypto wallet, you can enter and experience the central end. Okay. The sandbox, for example, is still in beta version. So it only is open when they make new release. And then in probably six months' time, it will open for everybody. Then we have Artribune or other metaverses that, are on blockchain or are not. And you can easily enter with your laptop or with your mobile. You just need a link, and then you are in the metaverse.
Okay. You just mentioned wallets. You mentioned the word NFTs. So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, what are they exactly? How do you get them? And obviously they're in your wallet because it's your digital wallet, which you're paying, of course, skins, fashion, art. What else can you buy also with them?
Yeah, NFTs can be anything. When we say the word NFT, we are actually referring to the technology. So an NFT is any digital asset registered on the blockchain, such as an image, video, or an audio file. It can be anything. But if we're talking about art and crypto art, we are referring to an art movement, similar to pop art or Bauhaus. And here we are entering a completely different discussion that has moments in history, recognized founders, and artistic principles. So at the moment, I think the discussion has lots of mistakes in it because there's a lot of people talking about NFTs, thinking that everything that is an NFT can be art, it can be sold for a lot of money. But we actually need to be very clear about the distinction of NFT, which is, again, like a technology, and crypto art, which is actually an art movement.
Okay, so that's very clear. Yeah, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in the world about NFTs. How does it? So if you have a wallet, how do you set up a wallet, and so you need a wallet to be purchasing stuff, especially crypto art. If you want to buy art online, you need to have a wallet. So that is something that anybody also can just set up, right? Because I think after this podcast, a lot of people want to.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to set up a wallet. Okay. But you gotta understand first what you want to buy, because there are different wallets for different cryptocurrency, and different art movements are based on different wallets. So let's say if you want to get into the first moment of crypto art, that is pretty much only based on the Ethereum blockchain. So you can open a wallet with MetaMask, for example. Or let's say you want to buy artists from the second wave of crypto art. So the second wave of crypto art is mainly based on Tezos. And then you will need to open a different wallet. So at the moment, it's very easy to open a wallet, but technology needs to make a step further. So we don't have at the moment just one wallet to take care of all the blockchain and all the cryptocurrency. So before actually buying an NFT, you gotta learn, what artist you would like to buy and in what blockchain the artist is actually being active.
So yeah, we're still not quite to, let's say, the unifying world of art, but also of the metaverses, indeed. Just a little bit because we're going to talk about that as well, because obviously now there is a little bit of confusion about the real world, the digital world, if they're ever going to merge. But first things first, because digital art, what you're obviously talking about, it's not new, but now people are really into buying digital art. Why do you think that's happening now?
I'm obviously not a digital art expert. I am a crypto art expert, but I think the difference between digital art and crypto art, I mean, I'm talking about the moment we live in. The real difference is that now we do have a technology, a way to be sure, that you actually entering in process of something. Okay. Before with digital art, there was not the technology like we have now with NFTs and smart contracts to actually certificate a piece of art. Since we had the blockchain and smart contract, now you can actually own for real that piece, and actually you can demonstrate and exchange that piece in the market. So that is why there's so much attention now about digital art, because we have technology and we have the market.
True. I heard about some stories that were not very positive of people indeed that bought something online and then they lost the link or they couldn't find the link anymore. And then the money that they had spent was apparently gone. And that's not, obviously, it's going to be avoided by indeed, obviously, blockchain and smart contracts, as you said. When you look at crypto art in general, and then the world of traditional art, when we met, we talked about this as well. Do you think there's one day there's going to be a fusion of the two? Or do you think that they will remain two different entities?
I'm not sure about it, actually. But, talking in a wider perspective about life, I don't know, where do we will live? Just in a virtual space, or we will still have like a real life? But in terms of art, yeah, we are actually, experiencing already the merge of the two worlds. Like, for example, when you came meeting me at the museum, we were actually showing digital art in a physical space. So we are already experiencing that merge, and I think it will keep happening.
How important is this digital presence? You just talked about Sandbox, where brands are also releasing new obviously, technologies, or indeed stuff that in the end they want to sell, of course. But how important is digital presence for individuals like me and like yourself, but also brands and artists?
This is about the digital perception of ourselves, which is something that the new generation already think about in a very, critical way. So social network has been the first step into the digital perception of ourselves. So the new generation are aware of the fact that the way they look into the digital space, it's very important. Somehow it's more important that the way they look in the real life, which I don't say it's a good thing, but that's what it's happening. So, for example, that's what happened into crypto art. Most of the collector, let's say the basic profile of the crypto art collector, is the profile of a person that spent lots of time programming or being in the digital space. Most of the big collectors are people that found their fortune in the tech industry. Mm-hmm. So they already spent more time into the digital world than into the real world. So for them, owning a CryptoPunks and having the opportunity of exhibit the CryptoPunk as the profile picture of Twitter, it's the best way they can show, that they somehow achieve what they wanted in life, which can be very, very strange. Like, let's say back in the days, if you were a rich person, you wanted to have art to be exposed in your place, in your flat. And now totally changed. So the most you want is to have a CryptoPunk as a profile picture on your Twitter. So everything changed.
Is it a mistake to think that in the metaverse, in crypto art, people that are in this movement, that they're all young?
Yeah, it is a mistake. There's lots of young people, but some of the artists, the very well-established artists, are actually pretty old because they've been experiencing for a long time into the digital art field. And they always been very aware of the tech innovation. So they were ready when the blockchain and smart contract came along. So, they took advantage of that. And even collectors, we still talking about digital and, computer as if they were something new. But basically, we spent the last 20, 25 years, having a constant interaction with the digital world.
So when you say pretty old, we're both 40, 41. What is pretty old? Because I sometimes feel old, but then the other day I don't. But what is pretty old? What generation are we talking about? Boomer? Talking about Xers?
Well, I'm not that good in, generations nicknames, but let's say, there's, artists and collectors that are like at least 55, which is, kind of adult, let's say.
Yes. Well, I think technically we're both adults as well, but we're trying to pretend we're not, indeed. It is, it's interesting because everybody thinks metaverse NFTs. So that's Generation Z. They're 15, 16, 18, 20. But it's interesting to see that they're actually, there's all generations in the metaverse. Crypto art collectors, where are they situated? Is it Europe? Is it United States? Is it Asia?
Biggest market, it's obviously in United States. There is where all started. But of course, because we're talking about the decentralized art movement and market, people are from every part of the world. So it's very difficult to say, that the biggest buyers are from Asia or United States. Most of the times you don't even know where they're based. So again, this is a decentralized world. So talking about trying to figure out where are the biggest collectors or artists, it's very difficult.
Yeah, this is a nightmare for people who are in marketing because they don't know where their customers are. They don't know who to target. Yeah,
but that's the
deal.
That's the deal with, the innovation. For example, I'm obviously in touch with a lot of brands and communication agency. And every time we go there and we have a discussion, here's the topic point. We always getting into that point. They just asked us, so how do we get in control of this? And we watch them and we say, you don't. We're talking here about a different way of doing things. And basically, that's where the discussion ends.
Yeah. They will be just like, okay, never mind. That means we're not interested, or they're not interested now because they haven't changed. They're not ready for this new world and this new way of doing business in the end.
Well, I'm telling you something, Judith. Obviously, when I began into this new world, I get, let's say, stuck in the loop. I was okay. It was a new world. Didn't care much about, the old world, especially because we were into the lockdown still. So I was feeling a kind of a bubble. And then the old world actually came along. And now that I spent the last, 8 months having to deal with the old world, I'm actually asking myself, why am I doing this? Because the discussion always go back. And I feel like miserable, like I feel I'm doing something wrong, which I'm not. I can go and meet these people, I can explain. But then if we reach a point where, the discussion goes back to old paradigm, is where I think I shouldn't stay.
Yeah, that's where you have to draw the line because you're done. You've explained it. It's the end. Do you think that in the metaverse, one thing, if all metaverses are going to be connected, because now, as you said, you have Decentraland, You have obviously the world in Fortnite. There's different places, and for every place, you need a different wallet. You need a different profile to get in. Do you think that, first of all those metaverses are going to be connected as one? And when will they be connected to, let's say, what you call the old world, the real world, or the physical world?
Yeah, this is a very hard question. I really don't know. Right now, metaverses are not talking the same language. That's for sure. So I wish that there will be just one metaverse, but then again, who's going to run it? So we have in now Meta, which is actually trying to be the only metaverse, but we don't know when we come out. We just recently, actually yesterday, we just read that Metaverse is gonna keep 47.5% of each NFTs created in the Metaverse. So all the community is already laughing at it. So again, it's the old world coming back. I have no idea. It's very difficult to imagine what will happen, even in terms of tech. Like, to have just one metaverse, it will mean that everybody will have to use the same tech, same cryptocurrency. I don't know how it's going to happen.
And that means, again, that you have centralization and not the decentralized system that obviously is currently in place.
Yep.
What intrigued you personally? Because you just said in a lockdown, I was in my bubble, I was in my digital world. Apparently you were liking it. And then you got into, again, the physical world. But what makes your heart tick about this digital world? What is it for you?
Well, I've been involved into art since forever. So I did art school, and then kind of wanted to be an artist for all my life. I tend to perceive myself as a creative person. Actually, I am sure I am a creative person, but in the sense that to me, I only able to feel emotions when I create things, even in a relationship. If I do create something, I feel good. If I don't feel that good. Even in the art world, again, always wanted to be an artist, but never understood what kind of artist. So to me, to be an artist, it means to see things coming before, other people. And what made me wanted to enter this art space, it was because it was new. As I told you, I always been into the art scene, but never liked it too much. So something that happened 20 years ago, it was with the street art. So 20 years ago, there was the opportunity to go on internet and go into this website, which was called Pictures on Wall. It was one of the first online shop for art. It was an art shop made by Banksy and other street artists. And so you could easily buy Banksy art for £80 with a credit card. But 20 years ago, it wasn't so easy to buy with a credit card. So, there was the thrilling. And now again, I had the opportunity to see something that, in my opinion, it was art, and I could buy it without entering the circuit of the traditional art world, which is obviously not inclusive at all. So This is something that really get me into.
Because obviously in crypto art, you completely cut out galleries. You as an artist sell directly to your clients. There's no percentages to be paid. It's all direct and possibly also more inclusive, as you said.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine, but when I did the first auction in Italy, and it was in an auction house, and we did the first exhibition too, and we had really a queue of people, young people, in front of the auction house, and they didn't want to enter. They wanted to come inside and see the NFTs, but they were not so confident in entering. So I had to go out and take them basically, by hands, because they never enter an auction house. Obviously, when you go into auction house, it's like, okay, I don't want to go there because I don't have the money to buy, objects. So, and it was, very strange to me, but at the same time, it was obvious. And it made actually understand me why I decided to do that operation with an auction house, because I actually wanted to bring young people into
and lower the threshold for them, because a lot of, I've been to auction houses many times here in Milan, having worked in the traditional art world. And it is indeed a high threshold. I have to be very honest, as also imported Milanese, you dress up because you're going to the auction house. It is a different level, or at least it feels like it's a different level of people that are going. So you're trying to level up when you're going, indeed. So I imagine all those young people being embarrassed to get into the auction house.
Yeah, that's what it is. And when I was talking about the first vernissage we used to have in the Metaverse. Mm-hmm. And, you have, in Arium, as an avatar, you are a 2 bricks avatar. And one of the brick, it shows your webcam. So I remember we were on this vernissage with very high artists. Now they're very well established. Back then we were just friends. And, we used to turn off and on the webcam, and most of the time we were showing us that we were like in the bed or like drinking beer in the kitchen. So it's a completely different way of experiencing the art world and the market.
Completely. So going indeed to the NFT art of the future that you partially curated in Milan at the Dart. So we went there. You gave me a private tour. And a world opened up to me, because there's many different colors. There's many different artists and different aesthetic directions. When you curate, what do you look at when you are picking the artist for your show?
Yeah, okay. I normally choose artists for the impact they had in the crypto art movement. So to me, again, because now the artistic offer is very huge, it is important to have people that were into the movement, into the community from the beginning, or at least that they are in the community now, because it's very easy to make an NFT, but that doesn't make you part of the community or part of the movement. That's normally the selection that I used to do. And now I'm keeping trace of, their artistic path, but always being aware of newcomers and new concepts or artistic improvements they bring into the scene in a positive way. We are still writing this art chapter, so it's very difficult at the moment to play it in a safe way when creating an art show. We are still creating the literature, so we're trying.
What role does color play in the crypto art world?
Well, in the crypto art movement, or let's say the diffusion or the market itself, obviously colors has a very important role, because we talk in art market or art movement that is being diffused on Twitter, on social networks. So colors need to be the first way to get attention. So we saw lots of Fluorocolors and very particular palette colors. Those colors has to bond with concept and vision of art. So this is mostly what I think about the use of color in crypto art.
Yeah. So you see Fluorocolor, so fluorescent, neons, is very expressive, very bright colors indeed, right?
Yeah, that obviously is the base of the movement, because we're talking about metaverse, we're talking about cyberpunk. That's the kind of environment where these kind of artists came out from. Most of them were involved into the movie market. So most of them used to work for Marvel, for Disney, for Ridley Scott. So we're talking about the kind of environment. So we obviously talking about flu colors, very strong colors.
Who are indeed the artists? Indeed, you just said where they're coming from, but I think that's very interesting to know. Who are those artists? Are they graphic designers? Were they indeed game producers? They come from the film world. Is there a particular profile, or are they coming from more areas?
Yeah, they're coming from more areas. Most of them are coming from the digital art world. Then we have what I used to call like digital creative in general. And yeah, they came from words such as graphic design or 3D design or animation. So there's a bit of everything. But right now, because we entering into a new chapter of crypto art, you can actually see who has an artistic approach or who was just somebody, very able to use software. So it's changing again.
How do you see that difference? Like who is just trying to create a nice NFT and who's really artistic?
Well, I talk with them a lot first, and then I began with them. So I know basically all the artistic history. For example, there's an artist which is called Vittorio Bonapace, and he's exhibited at DART, and we probably had a discussion about it. So now he has an entire wall for his artworks. And it's so funny because one of the first artwork he actually sold it into my auction back in the days. And into the walls I have now his last year of artistic path. So I can actually, starting from the first piece to the latest one, I can actually see the improvement, all the changes and the research on the concept and styles and so on. So obviously to be aware of the wave of the artists, you need to always talk with them, talking about projects and see what they do, how they present them, to have a wider picture of their artistic approach and basically to find out if they are good as artists or they just technicians, would say.
So if now there's young artists, young designers listening and they want to become a crypto artist, is there already education? How can they learn this?
There is kind of education. I mean, I do lots of education, but there's not that many books. There's a couple of very nice books, but they can find everything on the internet. That's the real opportunity. It's pretty hard to find the good stuff, but if you start from Twitter, if you start following the artists and the collectors and some good institution like MoCDA, for example, you can start to have, a good entering point.
What role, you just said that color has an important role because of the social media, because of obviously the digital use. And you talked about bright colors, you talked about fluorescent colors. Is there another color trend that you're seeing personally that you think is interesting for those who are listening?
In terms of crypto art, you mean? Crypto art? I think the use of the color as, part of the concept of the artwork. So color, especially in a digital artwork, can be much more than just color. I mean, you can actually build an artwork regarding color because you're working with the RGB. So when you actually mix and match the three primary color, you can actually make things disappear or pop up. So for example, I am a very small crypto artist too, and that's what I do. I actually work just with three colors and very simple animation. But when, the RGB colors used to be all together in the same place, they actually became white or black, and there's a meaning for that.
When we talk about graphics, so maybe, of course, graphic is connected to color, but what type of graphics do you see currently being used in crypto art?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, it's very hard to make just one view of the uses of graphics. You have a lot, you have simple graphics, so very exaggerate interaction of graphics. So I don't know, in terms of styles, there is not yet categories into crypto art. Okay. So we are very in an early stage. And, because of that, it's very hard to make categories, for example.
So everything is possible right now.
Yeah, everything is possible. Like we really are in an early stage. 12 months just passed from, the day when people sold his artwork and NFTs or crypto art went mainstream. So we're having now the first exhibitions. Anything needs to be done still.
No, I totally get that. It's not even been a year. It's just, it's crazy times, because we talk about color in my group, with color marketing group, with color professionals in general.
Yeah.
We really talk a lot about color in the metaverses. Also, because for us, it's important to understand what is the meaning of color online. What is the meaning of color in these digital worlds? What future do you think color has in metaverses?
Very good question. And yeah, I would like to say first that we need people to work on colors, on metaverse, and on the digital environment. That's the first thing. And, right now, metaverse has a big problem, which means lots of people are willing to enter, are very excited to enter into the metaverse and explore. But the problem that metaverse need to solve now is actually to make people stay in the metaverse. And in my opinion, that has something to do with color as well. Like you entering a space that is overwhelming. So colors and sounds need to be think in the way to make actually people feel comfortable in the metaverse. That's the biggest problem the metaverse has right now. They're very fast. So you get in, you're very excited, but because you're very excited, you don't spend long time in it.
Yeah, there's too much going on, right?
Yeah, there's too much going on. Yeah, the biggest problem into the crypto scene, which is DeFi, or the art movement or metaverse, is that you enter and then you overwhelmed, and the risk to burnout is really under the corner. So we need to slow down a little, and colors could actually help in doing that.
Yeah. So maybe it is indeed. It's funny how we're seeing this metaverse as, right now at least, a very bright place, fluorescence, a lot of going on, maybe indeed loud music. But in the end, maybe what people are more comfortable with is creating something that it's new, it has to be new, but it needs to be sometimes maybe more connected to where we are now, which also maybe in our homes, we're comfortable, we are relaxed, we have maybe some jazz music, or it's something that makes us feel good. Whereas in the metaverse right now, like you're saying, I mean, I visited Fashion Week on the Central End, and I was just like, after half an hour, I was just not burned out. I think that's a big word, but I was just like, okay, this is like too much. Like there's too much going on. There's too much things. There's too many colors. I was even bumping into people constantly because maybe my tactics are not perfect, but it's true. Maybe connecting more what we have in the real world and bringing that into the metaverse could be an option for people to want to stay there.
Yeah, in my opinion, that is the way. At least if you want to enter the metaverse and be sure to meet people every time, and not just when you do have events. Because when you do have events, and we organize events in our museum on the Central End, and sometimes you have, 500 people in a very small place. So, we need to find a way to have people, but to maintain the people there and to actually have the people happy to be in the metaverse, not just for a quick experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So color can do that, hopefully. That's a good message to the people that are listening. When you say also about just generally color directions, is there an event or is there an artist that you think color-wise is really interesting? Like maybe indeed not necessarily going to these very bright colors, but somebody's already getting there and who's maybe an interesting artist also to be obviously investing in.
Yeah, sure. There are a bunch. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, Cattello, Fuck Render, Giuseppe Lo Schiavo, and Fabio Catapano. I saw him, both of them. Fabio Catapano is the latest one. He's actually researching a lot about colors and animation. I've been seeing his latest work for the past weeks, and he's focusing on that. Giuseppe Lo Schiavo, he does very complex 3D animation works with avatars or very particular situation. But for example, in his latest artworks, which is called Orgasmica, and he just dropped it 2 days ago. There are 4 or 5 different situations, and each situation is very cinematic, and the use of color, it's very cinematic. So in each situation, he really found the best way to use color to deliver his concept, his message. Catello, he works with static image. Yeah, he has a dystopic vision, but the use of colors looks like, the use into oils. So it's very particular because you have a digital work, but it looks like a paint or oil painting, but from the future. So in general, I perceive the use of color as, one of the most important aspects to be considered, again, in a art environment that see now lots of artists, huge exposures on social networks. For the first connection to the viewer, you need to know what you're doing with colors, because you need to pop up in such a wide and fast-running offers.
What is the biggest misunderstanding when it comes to the digital world that we are now, slowly entering in?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many.
What's the one that annoys you the most?
Oh, the one that annoys me the most is that it's very easy to make money out. That's the biggest one, And the second one is that, because it's digital, it's easy. And again, treating the digital world as it was something not part of our life, I always meet people that kept saying, but it's digital. It doesn't have a meaning. It cannot have value. It is not that important into my life. When I actually hear this, I think, well, I don't think you actually doing any task that doesn't involve interaction with digital. So I think you better realize, the point you're in.
True. So it's funny how some people, or a lot of people, still say that it's digital, so it's not real or it doesn't have value. But traditional institutions, governments, banks, they're threatened by the crypto world. Why would they be threatened if in the end they're saying it's something that's not real, it doesn't matter? Why do you think that still is?
Yeah, Judith, we already talk about this. It's because it's decentralized.
It's the control.
Yeah, you cannot really have control on it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we are actually experiencing the risk to have again control. But that's the main point. Institutions, banks are very afraid of something that they cannot control. But even before getting into the control part, they cannot even assess it easily. There are obviously some walls to enter the space, especially if you're not so digitalized.
Yeah.
And we having here a completely different paradigm. So if you're not embracing that, you will never enter it and you will never understand it. I mean, you can have a bite of it, but most of the time, when you just have a bite of it, you get bored. So they rather kind of destroy it or not consider it, but it's real.
It's happening. I mean, we see it everywhere. It's happening. Something completely different. So before you entered the world of crypto art, you were a film director. You traveled the world. I mean, you're still traveling the world, but you traveled the world for many different projects. What inspired you to change direction? Was it the lockdown? Was it COVID?
Yeah, I think it was, the coincidence of different factors. But let's say within the lockdown, I obviously had to change my life. Traveling wasn't an option anymore. So, in a very short time, I've lost what has been enriching my life the most. Because, I've been traveling, and not just traveling, I've been actually living in places. If you follow me on Instagram, my nickname, it's Border Space. And that's because that's what I love to do, back then. I love to entering a new country by foot. So I rarely took, flights to get into a country to another. So I always try to move with buses. And that was, my adventure process. So before filming a story, I used to spend quite a time into places to understand the culture, get into the life, and to see if reality was real. Okay, so if it was very real and I could actually interact with the reality, therefore I could think about making a story and hoping that some of what I was filming could actually be experienced from some viewer. So when there was the lockdown, I lost it all. And I came back into a society where I didn't have a place anymore. 10 years has passed by then, so didn't work very much into friendship, relationship, that kind of thing. As I was in lockdown, I didn't have much. So I really focused on myself. I tried to work a lot on myself. So I'm glad I had a full year of being in contact with myself. But then, crypto art came along and I see a new adventure, a new world. So I entered the new world with the first virtual vernissage. And then I found an entire new world to be experienced and to get some life out of it. Yeah. And as for now, this world apparently does not have the intention to stop any soon. So I'm staying here still.
Yeah, hearing how busy you are and you're still crossing borders. So maybe more now flying, and also you're crossing them digitally. But definitely, it's a very interesting and intriguing world. What is the advice, as one last question, what is the advice that you can give to people who are listening, how to invest in crypto art? What are really things they need to be looking out for or careful with?
First of all, if you never invested, there must be a reason. And the reason is you never knew enough. So when you don't know enough about something, so if you really want to invest, first you should get into know what you would like to invest in, which means lots of studies and be present, and then thinking, do I really like this piece of art, or do I just want to make an investment? So again, as it was before into the real world, you got to know what you're doing. So you got to study, get to know people, and to understand what you're actually investing in.
So that's actually very similar to buying traditional art. You have to know the artist. You're going to go in a different space. You're going to go maybe to a physical space, but there's a lot of studying behind.
Yeah, of course there is. The difference is you can actually talk with the artists. We can actually talk with the curators, and the spaces are different. And obviously, at the moment, it's still easy to get into vernissage. You don't have to know very special people. You do have all the access on Twitter, basically. You just need to follow the right people, get to know others. And up until now, it has been a very inclusive environment. So
I think that also is the future. The future is inclusive, no matter what we're talking about. Yeah. If it's art or fashion.
Well, that's what we would like to have, a more inclusive future. But then again, we need people and right people to do that. So I hope it will happen.
Yeah. Well, you're part of the movement. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking at you to see where to invest. And also, I think a lot of people are going to be looking up the artists that you mentioned for their color use. And I want to thank you for being part of the Color Authority podcast. I hope you enjoyed it too. And I love this conversation. I finally know more about your world, and I think it's very intriguing for people who are listening. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Judith. It was a great opportunity to have a further discussion to this world, especially, with someone that talks about colors. And again, I think colors are everywhere into this art movement, but even into the environments where the discussion about this art movement is taking part. And again, I think there is very much to do, especially talking about the metaverse environment for a color designer, because we're talking now about, future environments that are basically designed by tech people. So again, we reached the technology, but now we need creative people into the environment. This is the stage we are in it. I'm talking with a lot of the top players, both metaverses or tech industry, and they all say to me the same. We do have all the developers, we have all the tech, and we are lacking, of creative people. So where are the creative people?
Oh, they're listening to this podcast. So that's a good thing.
This is an open call to them.
It's an open call, yeah. Well, again, thanks, Bruno. And I think you're going to be getting a lot of emails because of what you just said.
Okay, we will give them an answer.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Bruno. The very next podcast is going to be with the founders of Certosa Initiative, the very new initiative for Milan Design Week, happening from the 6th until the 12th of June here in Milan. Now, I'm going to be talking with Margriet Vollenberg and René Versteeg about what they are planning for this exciting new Design Week edition. So stay tuned. And if you are enjoying the Color Authority, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I'll see you back at the next episode. Have a great, colorful day.